our first speakers. So Studio Yukiko is a design studio based in Berlin, founded in 2012 by Phillips and Johannes Conrad. You may know the studio for its colorful designs made for the award-winning magazine Flanner, Nike, Sony, and Wieden & Kennedy, to name just a few. We first spoke to Michel and Johannes way back in 2018 when they featured as one of our ones to watch. Tonight, they're going to be taking us on a whistle-stop tour through a number of projects. Michel and Johannes, would you mind turning on your audio and video so we can say hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
All good, thanks. It suddenly got dark there. I'm just seeing out your window. It's like, yeah, it was light the last time I checked in. It's funny. How's everything over in Berlin?
Yeah, it's good. Thanks.
Yeah, we've got a colleague who's based over there at the moment. She said it's suddenly got cold over the last couple of weeks, but yeah,
a little bit, yeah.
Well, listen, I'm going to leave you to do your presentation. So feel free to kind of start sharing your screen and yeah, I guess get going with your presentation. Everyone else watching, just remember, if you do have a question for Michel and Johannes, please put it in the chat alongside the stream. And yeah, we'll try and get around to asking it afterwards. So yeah, over to you guys.
Cool. Can you see our screen?
Yeah, looks great.
Okay,
perfect.
Good.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. And thanks to It's Nice That for inviting us. It's a great honor to be part of this wonderful lineup of people. Yeah, let's dive in.
We are Michel
and Johannes
of Studio Yukiko. It's not just us, it's also Sebastian and Ira and Nelia and Lou and Christine and Slavek, and a bunch of other writers and programmers and illustrators, strategists who we collaborate with on a regular basis. So all the work we're going to show is the effort of all of us all together.
So we do, oops, one sec. So we do a lot of creative direction, art direction, and design for magazines and artist publications, branding and visual identities, brand story development as well, and work on also special projects or commercial projects and campaigns with brands.
So we're just flying you through sort of like a general feel and idea of what the studio does before we dive into a few projects in depth. This is something recent we did with Pegasus and Nike Berlin. We work quite a lot with Nike Berlin. This is a print we did for some apparel for Nike Berlin. It was actually supposed to be for the marathon collection, but unfortunately the marathon got cancelled, but the collection is still there, which is super nice.
And then we also do a bunch of personal projects, which are kind of nice. First up though, sorry, this is some cultural projects that we do with museums as well. And hang on,
This is for the Hamburger Bahnhof current exhibition here in Berlin. And yeah, really important for us is that we do personal projects. So this is a little bit of the sofa world that we do with Kaya and Ricardo Messner. And it allows us to exercise our creative limbs.
So, okay, so we're going to talk to you about 3 projects. And the first one is a recent branding project that we did for Shedhalle. Shedhalle is an arts institution from Zurich. And we were asked to, by Tia Reifler and Philip Bergmann, who are the new directors of the space, to create a visual identity for it. And they're calling it the space for process-based art. What is process-based art?
So sort of in their words, it's like, imagine if you walked into a show that opened a week early. So it'd be a place where you could really sort of see the process of work being created and talk to the artists.
So it's like a living institution, like a fertile breeding ground for ideas and where art and research kind of come together. Some of their curatorial themes are like feminist science fiction or ecofeminism, geological, biological, and ecological research, and also non-binary identity politics is an important part of their curatorial outputs.
So we sort of started looking at visualization of scientific research because we really liked the way it kind of annotates and describes images and visuals.
It's kind of funny because it's sort of like dry and fun at the same time. And we kind of like that.
And TM Philip came up with a great name for these kind of group exhibitions. They call them protozonas, and that's relating to prototypes and microorganisms. And funnily enough, their first exhibition, which is coming soon, was called Contamination Resilience, and they came up with that name before the pandemic landed.
These are sort of beginnings of visual explorations that we did, that we're just going to show you the process of how we got there.
So this is all sketch work and process work, and a lot of it isn't used, but it's stuff that doesn't land on our Instagram. So it's nice to show a bit of background.
But we really liked how it sort of worked with this analysis and biological processes that were kind of the main inspiration. And in the end, we just landed on this logo, which is a molecular logo, which is quite
Fun. We sort of made a little toolkit with lots of graphic devices, and I mean they were using terms like high intensity and low intensity, sort of relating to things like show times, openings, and activities. This is some of the posters that we've just done for the opening, and these are some stickers we did for their Instagram,
and sort of created a kind of general toolkit of items that they can use throughout their communication.
Some key visuals for their current shows.
Cool. So next up, what we're going to show you is a project that's been with us for a number of years now. It's called Flanner. Maybe you've heard of it, but it's an interesting one because it also shows another type of process that we go through, and we wanted to chat to you about that.
So it's a real personal project for us. We do in collaboration with our editors, Grishina Gabelman and Fabian Zal, and our publisher, Ricardo Messner. And every issue is based on one street in the world. So it's kind of niche. And our research approach is to basically spend as much time as we can there. The editors will move for about 3 months and we'll go for at least a few weeks. This is sort of just some scenes from the last issue, which was in Taipei.
We also go there for a few weeks as well and kind of do some visual research ourselves.
Yeah. Because the magazine is a lot about local communities, it's really important that most of the contributions are done by the locals, and also that we spend as much time there to get to know the place and sort of do first-hand research and meet people. For this issue, we also worked with Meng Jing Hsei, whose grandparents actually lived on the street. So he helped us create the design, and it's really important to involve people who know the street better than us in every step of the creation process. It's
really like an immersive experience for our readers. That's what we kind of set out to do, and to really transport them onto the street. And so we had a rule for this issue, which was no white space, so the reader might feel this kind of rich bombardment or this visual richness that we actually experienced on the street ourselves.
This is the magazine in motion. It was a little Insta teaser we created. This is the campaign we did for the festival, which accompanied the magazine. So we were really lucky to be able to put on a festival, and the Flanner team brought about 10 artists from Taipei to Berlin to host talks and give workshops. And yeah, so it was a really interesting task of kind of unpacking our magazine graphics into a 3D scenario. And we created these light boxes, which were modular, and sort of you could stack them in different ways to accommodate all the different formats of the festival. Yeah.
Cool. So now to the last project we want to just show you, and it's actually a dead project. It's our graveyard project. This is actually came out of a pitch, which we haven't shown to anyone except for the client. So you're the first ones to see this. So let us know what you think. But we really wanted to show you this because it shows also another kind of type of process that we went through, and kind of maybe our visual thinking in a way.
So it's a dead project because it was a pitch that we lost.
Yes.
And we don't normally do pitches, but this was one of the most important theatres in Germany, and we were really interested in their concept.
Yeah, so basically their concept is that they really wanted to open the theatre for everyone, connect the city with the theatre, create a place of experimentation where there can be actions, public discussions, readings, radio, meeting places or interventions that are outside the traditional theatre realm. So we really thought that was really quite exciting. They also wanted to work directly with local and marginalized communities and actually put them on stage and create kind of content or create plays together. Yeah, so this was just like...
So yeah, I mean, pitches can be very stressful and we tend to not do them, as we said, but we thought sort of given the conditions of the pitch aren't that favorable for producing creative work, we thought we might also free ourselves from the responsibility of having to produce something usable and sort of make it an exercise in what if, and see what's the most radical thing we could do.
So like you see, the theatre itself is on the street, that is the poshest street in Munich, and it has like all the classic, luxury brands on there. So the theatre itself is kind of a disruptor on the street, and disruption was kind of one of the key words that we wanted to actually hone in on.
It's funny, and it was kind of an important word for us because it was the first project that we embarked on after lockdown. So I think disruption was kind of a big theme for us at the time.
So whilst we were on lockdown, we went actually for kind of a visual walk on Google Street View. And we realized that, Munich is full of these amazing shop graphics. We actually went kind of more outside the center of Munich and more outside to the periphery, which actually was also part of the theater. The theater wanted to kind of create sort of offsite projects where they bring the theater to the people outside of the normal theater audience.
So our overarching theme kind of became welcome to your theatre, and this is our beautiful banner which we proposed, which should sit in the middle of the Gucci and the Hermes. And then we went about kind of creating designs using the most rudimentary tools available to us. So sort of doing it in the spirit as if you were sitting next to the guy in the coffee shop and telling him what to do. So we used a lot of clip art, and then there's like a million graphic design no-nos going on, and free fonts and system fonts and icons from Google Maps and other public services.
But we really felt like this was kind of part of this kind of idea of democratizing almost the design process as well, and to work with these free things, to give the theater and the visual identity kind of back to the people. And
I think we just really wanted to create something that would stick out in the kind of elitism of the street that the theatre was set in.
Or the kind of elitism that is kind of connected to theatre in itself in a way.
So this was our opening campaign, all sort of based along these lines, like a 1A theatre, which is like Ace Theatre, or New Opening, Theatre of the City. We're always for you.
Almost like theatre as a service kind of institution.
And we got really excited about the possibilities of Zoom backgrounds and taking theatre online. And our program was designed like the listings in the newspaper.
Yeah, and instead of a normal program, we thought we could make zines and get sort of the marginalized community also together to create content. Yeah. So also there was also, I mean, in a way, we kind of think that theatre is kind of a communication itself. So we really tried to be also quite experimental with the ways of communicating. So for example, we also had the idea of creating a WhatsApp bot that people can kind of communicate with, and the bot could itself be a character from a play, for example, or you could send, or we would send bits of the play out to people beforehand, so that they can read the play. Exactly, that's kind of sort of was part of the communication angle.
So we were just really trying to think about sort of how can we engage, other communities or reach out to other people. And even for our website, we had silly ideas like you could put your webcam on and be transported into the Kammerspiele world.
Yeah. So anyway, this project like was obviously too radical for them, maybe.
I think we lost very, very hard. They wrote us like a one-liner response. I think they thought we'd completely lost it. But
it was kind of interesting because, like Michelle said, it was sort of about freeing ourselves from creating something usable, really, and making something that's kind of fun and kind of just to exercise our creative thinking in a way. Like you see, our visual output is quite diverse, and we're not really interested in making design that looks nice.
Especially, sometimes it does. But I think it's about also thinking about what design can communicate and how, and having a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe and adding a bit of humor here and there. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much, guys. That was amazing. I can't believe you didn't get that pitch. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I can.
If you wouldn't mind, you could stop sharing now. And we've got a bunch of questions that have come through, which is fantastic. One question that's come through from our audience is, do you have any principles that guide your early experimentation processes? So I guess that's thinking in terms of, when you start a project, what's that kind of early experimentation? What does that look like?
You can hear us, right?
Oh yeah, we can hear.
So I sort of think you should start the process like you were born yesterday. So like a little bit like you don't know anything. And I mean, it's 2020, there's so many sort of research, there's just so much information and research possibilities available to us. So I think thinking about where you start your research and how is really important. And then the design bit should come at the end, I feel like. I mean, you sort of sketch visually, but like actually sort of crafting it into something, that's a well-crafted design. I always feel like that's the bit that it is important, but it's not the most important bit. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
It sounds like you guys, Flanner is kind of similar as well, but you obviously walk along streets quite a lot, either on Street View or in real life. Is that a big part of it as well? Kind of like getting out on your feet and seeing things.
It's the thing that you can do nowadays on lockdown.
Yeah.
When you're bored.
I think as much first-hand research is really important. I think things like Instagram and blogs, it's nice, that's great, but that's a really dangerous place to start research. I think it's a great place for inspiration, but not for research. So as much first-hand research as you can is great.
There were some other questions about your kind of client relationships, and one question is, do you work with clients who already want something in your style, or do you adapt your style to what they want? And I guess a follow-up question to that is also, how do you get out of kind of pitching? I mean, is that something you said you don't tend to do it? Is that by design, or is it just you refuse to go into pitches and actually you wait for clients to come to you? I guess two questions in one there, really.
Should I answer?
Yeah.
I might, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think that maybe the clients, they look more for an attitude rather than a style from us. And I think that there's a certain angle that we take. I mean, there's somehow, every project looks kind of different, and we're aware of that. We're actually kind of, get bored quite easily. So we try and actually experiment a lot in the studio. There's a lot of making mistakes and so forth. And I think that that's maybe something that is the process that is more interesting for clients, that they want to go with us and go on a journey and kind of see what happens in a way.
But actually that leads quite nicely into the second question, because I think that is the problem with pitching is we work very closely with the client. Like all this research and development we do, we don't just sort of put it in front of them and go, take it or leave it. There's always a discussion, how far can we go? Is it too much? Is it not? Can we explore this a little bit? And obviously with pitching, you don't have that chance. You do actually put something in front of them and go, take it or leave it. Which I don't think is the most, like I said, that it's not a very creative, condition to have. So, I mean, it's like, occasionally we do them if we think it could be really worth it. And for this one, we just said, okay, we just give ourselves 4 days. We spent 2 of them talking, and thinking, and then sort of knocked out the sketches and the presentation in the second 2 days. But it was really fun. It's really fun if you then say, okay, well, we do it like this. We play the wild card, and Yeah.
I'm sure lots of creative business owners would agree with you about pitching for sure. Okay, well, listen, we're going to have to move on, but thanks so much for joining us, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you to turn your audio and video back off now, but thanks again. And